All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We are here. It's what is it? Just after 9. Yes, just after 9 o'clock. We're good. We're live. I think everything's live. Let me make sure we're actually live. Yes, we're live. Look at that. We're actually live. Okay, so what we got going on this morning? We are doing live chat. This is set up originally predominantly for our Facebook user groups. And anyone who wants to jump in, any questions, things like that. I will let you know, in order to do, I have closed captioning turned on because I know there are potentially some users who are going to be joining us from overseas, and they may need to have, they may need to translate because unfortunately I only speak English. I suck at foreign languages, so I only do English. So I do have captions turned on, so there may be a little lag between a question being asked in chat and when you see it and when I see it. So just bear with, and we'll do the best we can with that. So let me just do one thing real quick. That way, pardon zooming in on my ugly mug. All right, I have that muted. I'm just copying the link to the live for our Facebook group. And then we'll be ready to go. So one of the first things we're going to do, one of the very first things we're going to do is we're going to do a test grid. We're going to learn how to do a test grid for testing of materials. In Lightburn, there is a tool to do test grids, and I've used it a couple times, and I'm not a fan of it. If you go up to your laser tools up here in the upper left corner, click that. There is a materials test where you can set up, rows, columns, your speed, and all your parameters. I've never really cared much for it. I've tried it from right when they launched it, and it's fine. It's fine. It's all fine. However, creating a test grid is probably one of the easiest and most simple, one of the most simple things we can do. So I'm going to show you, the first thing we're going to show you is how to set up a test grid. Now keep in mind, I am running Lightburn. I'm running version 1.2.04. I have not upgraded to the newer version of Lightburn yet. And the only reason I hold off is, even though I know the devs for Lightburn do a fantastic job if they find out there's a bug because I have to keep this machine running daily. I can't wait for a bug fix, so I kind of let the updates kind of mature a little before I jump in and do the updates. So I know there's a fresh update out there. Every time I open Lightburn, it lets me know. I'm just not quite there yet. So when I'm not hearing about any more bugs or hiccups, I'll do the update. But 1.2.04 has been working just fine. So, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm not jumping onto the newer version. So 1.2.04 is what we're running. I have been running Lightburn since the day I set up the laser. I have not used GRBL. It did not look like it had enough features for me. So I went straight to Lightburn, did the 30-day, and had no questions or doubts that this was the software to run. So we're going to start with an absolute basic. I see the question is posed just about daily in the Facebook group, the official Facebook group. What speeds and power should I run? And it's difficult to answer that question. I have two machines. I have an S30 and I have an S9. Both of them are just the 5.5 watt versions. They do the exact same things. I just have one, my S9 set up as my with my rotary permanently attached, and the S30 is what I do the majority of my cutting and engraving on. So even though the two machines are very similar, I have noticed minor differences in the needs for materials on the S30 versus the S9. And I will tell you all right now, if you all don't have, if any of you have a rotary or and do tumblers, and you don't have, something like this, you're doing it wrong. I've run multiple passes on different manufacturers of tumblers. And yes, it sucks to waste a tumbler for test runs, but it's the only way you're going to know what you need. Because I scroll through the group. So for me, the best results I got on this particular manufacturer were at 65% and 1250 millimeters per minute. It's that one right there. One pass, 1250 millimeters per minute, 65%. Any more than that, and I was starting to burn the metal. Any slower than that, and I was leaving just a little skim layer of the powder coating. And hey, what up, Dave? How you doing, man? But this particular manufacturer of tumbler is my wholesale supplier that I buy from, and their powder coating is a little denser than a couple of the other types that I've used that I've bought off Amazon, where I can actually go a little bit faster with the same power and still get similar results. So test grids, critical, got to be able to do them. And quite honestly, once you set up your first test grid, it's easily modifiable to run on different materials. So I'm going to show you how to set up a test grid. It is super simple. You can make it as big or as small as you want. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Quite literally, we're going to start with square. Let me zoom in here. For the moment, we're just going to keep everything on line. And we're going to set the sizing on this to 0.5 by 0.5. So 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. And we're going to lock it so I can't adjust so if I do any adjustments, it stays in proportion. Then we're going to go over here to the array tool, the grid array. And we're going to make 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's say we'll go 7. All right. So we'll take seven different speed calibrations and then hit OK. So now we have these. So this is the base for the test grid. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to set the power range for each one of these squares. Okay. The way we're going to do that, select one, and then you come over here to your shape properties, right-hand side. So it's in all your little tabs with cuts, console, move, file list, variables, shape properties. I also have my library up here. You're going to go to shape properties, and we're going to set the power for this one. Generally speaking, 99.999% of everything I do at a max of 85% power. So to me, 85% is 100%. We've had this debate and discussion multiple times in the group. If you want to run your machine at 100% power, you do you. Run it at 100% power. 85% is the recommended maximum for a diode. Even when you get into CO2s, they don't recommend running at 100%. It will drastically shorten the life of your machine. So to me, 85%, unless I'm in an extraordinary circumstance and I just need a little extra, but it's going to be a very short, quick burn. So we're going to set here, we're going to set the power to 85%. And we'll double check 85. Then we're going to come here. So I'm going to set this scale up to go 85, 75, 65, and then step down. And we're going to go, let's see, 75. And you just set each square to the max power. So 85, 75, 65, 55. 45, 35. Yeah, saves wear and tear. I mean, you can. It's like a car. Best analogy I've heard of this yet is like your car. You can get in your brand new car and slam the gas pedal to the ground and run that thing at full throttle all the time, assuming you don't get arrested for speeding. But it's going to shorten the life of that engine. You're going to put a lot of extra wear and tear on the engine. Same general thing here. It's a lot of extra heat, shortens the lifespan of the boards, the lenses, everything. So, all right. Let's see. Now we're 35, and then we'll take the last one down to 25%. So now we have, what do we got? Seven squares varying from 85%, which you'll see over here, 85% right under my head, down to 25, and you can just double check them. There you go. Same idea. Double check all of your squares. $45, $35, $25, done. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we are going to bump the spacing out just a little bit. All right, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do a sixth. So we'll go 6 by 7. Okay, so now we have all of these. So the speeds stay the same all the way up. So this is all 85%. This column is 75, 65, 45, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Now what we need to do is set our speeds for those. So right now we're going to go to our cut layer, okay? And we're going to say, we'll leave this one black, and we'll call that one 350 millimeters per minute. And then we're going to set layer 2, and we're going to make that one, let's say 450 millimeters per minute. And then we're going to go next row, red line. And then we're going to go 550 millimeters per minute. And then we go just progress all the way through. Next one is green. And we'll call that one 650. Nope. Cancel. $650 millimeters. And we'll go that hideous yellow. We'll go 750. And we'll take this last column and we'll make it 850. Is that going to be orange? Yeah. Okay, so now we have 350, 450, 550, 650, 750, 850 millimeters per minute. Well, it's not that there's a suggested max speed. There is the maximum speed of the machines that I have without getting in and messing with firmware, 6,000 millimeters per minute. Now, having said that, on a couple of the other machines, there are ways to go in, flash the firmware, and really crank the speed up. But there is no... I'm going to generalize it and say there's no real benefit to that speed. When you're engraving and doing any type of engraving, if you're moving that fast, you're not getting a good engrave. So for cutting, you're never going to run 6,000 millimeters per minute to cut a piece of wood or acrylic. You're just not. Or you're going to wind up doing 50 passes at 6,000 millimeters per minute when you could have done it at 500 millimeters per minute in 2 passes, 3 passes. So there's no benefit to doing that many, to going that fast in very, very rare circumstances. So now's your opportunity. You can get fancy. So we're just going to throw some text on here and shrink that down just a wee bit. So we know this one was 85, 75, 65, 55, 45, 35, 25, and we'll take these, we'll line these all up horizontally, and then we're gonna align those on the vertical. So yes, generally speaking, 85% is what you want to have for your max. vertical center. All right, so now you have your speed indicators on the bottom, or your power indicators on the bottom. Yeah, and also it is a wear and tear issue too as well at that point. All right, so then we're going to go, we know where this one was 350, 450, 550, 650, 750, 850 millimeters per minute. So yeah, there is no benefit to that at all. And then we'll line these up. Now, obviously, I'm making this all nice and pretty, but you can do whatever you want. And once this is done, you're going to save it. Now, you have an option. You can save it as a Lightburn file. I don't usually save my stuff as a Lightburn file. I save it in my project library. Okay, so now we have our speed and power, and we're going to give them their own layer. 1355. So now we have power range and speed. You can put your speed and power settings wherever you want to put them. Doesn't matter. It's your file. So now this as it sits right now would be to test cutting, because everything here are lines. There are no fills except for the speed and the power. Those are your fills. Everything else, this would be to test cutting. So if I were to throw a new piece of material on and I wanted to see how many passes it took to get through, and all of these are set for one pass. So here's the nice thing. I can set a new piece of material on my laser. Make sure the air assist is on for all of these, except for the engraving. I can put a new piece of material in, run one pass, see what happens. If none of these cut through in a single pass, you just turn off your output for your engraving, because you don't need to run your engraving again, and then you hit start and run it a second time. Now, I say that I'm running that on the S30 with limit switches. So it's going to go back home. It's going to know where it is. It's going to go back. It's going to cut it again in the exact same spot. If you're on something like an S9, an S10, an S6, and don't have limit switches, and you're using user, I'll give you the correct current position or user origin, then as long as you don't move the piece, it'll cut it again. If you touch the laser head or move the piece, you got to start fresh. I use absolute coordinates because I have the S30 with the limit switches, or if you've done the limit switch upgrade on the S9, the S10, I don't know if you can do it on the S30, but you could do that. So once this is all done and set, like I said, once you go through, if nothing drops out on the first run, you can literally just shut your output off for your engraving for your numbers, run it a second time, see if anything drops out. Run it a third time. If nothing drops out on the second pass, done. Then you're going to find out what your optimal is. Speed, and these are arbitrary numbers. These definitely are not necessarily what you're going to want to run. I just set these as arbitrary numbers. So from there, I can take this whole file, select the entire file, come over here to the, if you haven't set it up, you should, your art library, and then create I have a test run in a tool layer file. Go into my tool layer file, and then we're going to import graphic, and I'm going to call this, what is this? This is a 6x7 test grid. And then I'm going to save it. So now I have it saved into my art library. So I can delete it. Done. And if I want to bring it back up, just double click it. Settings are all there. And then if I want to change this, let's say I want to change this to an engraving test. You can do a couple things. Obviously, you go through on your cut. You change everything from cut to fill. Now it's an engraving test. I know I'm never going to probably engrave most materials at 350 millimeters per minute. So all you need to do at this point is go over here, change your speed, and you'll know, okay, let's say I want to start at 1100 millimeters per minute. So you just start 1100. Don't ever worry about your max power in here. Don't change anything here. All we're doing is speed. So now we're 1100, 1200, 1300, 1400. This would be 15. No, not 25, 15. It's still early for me to be typing, chat, so I'm not quite 100% with it. And let's call this one 1600. Now you can go through, if you're really interested, you can change, but you know what your settings are based on your cut layers. So you can either change this and have two separate files preset or not. That's up to you. But now we have an engraving test. And remember, if you're using the S30, the S30 Pro, the S30 Pro Max, and you have the auto air assist, make sure you know whether you want to test it with the air or with the air on or with the air off. Because depending on the materials, you may or may not want to have your air assist on. I've gotten less than satisfactory results doing engraving on wood with the air assist on, but when I switch over to a piece of slate like that, I will tend to run the air assist on slate, on faux leather, anything that gets a ton of residue and buildup. I find a lot of gunk off of slate, leatherette, things like that. I'll run the air assist. I generally don't do it much on wood. I have tried it a couple times, and on certain materials, I find that I get a better result. Bamboo and acacia wood, I will run air assist, and I tend to get good results. But things like basswood, Baltic birch, I kind of stay away from that stuff. I really don't do much with the air assist. Never really thrilled with the quality. So now that I've got an engraving one done, I can save it and have a second test ready to go, or I can just work off of the first one. One of the other things now is, let's say I know, based on, I've run a similar test on a similar piece of material. What up, Brian? New S30 5-watt owner-operator. not necessarily. There is a minor benefit to it, but I don't necessarily know if the minor benefit of the little bit of debris that gets in there is worth the quality of the engraving, if that makes sense. I also clean my laser a lot. On a typical day, I am running my machine between, on a quiet day, 4 hours. On a busy day, 7 to 10 hours. So I'm cleaning my laser a lot. So the minimal buildup I get from the engraving is really minor by comparison. So I tend to clean mine a lot more than most people. Especially, I don't know how long you've been in the group yet. There are people that come in and they post pictures of the buildup on there, and you're like, how do I clean this? And they've had their machine for 3, 4, 5 months and have never taken the lens apart and cleaned. So get in the habit of cleaning. I will generally clean, so like I'll finish up. Is that better? Let me bump my mic up a little bit. Is that any better? Start chewing on my microphone. So it kind of depends on what your usage, what your specific uses are. If you're doing a lot of engraving, it may be worth finding the settings that work well with the air assist. Six engraving, 6 projects so far. No worries. Cleaning is not hard on the S30. It's really not. 91% isopropyl alcohol. I literally just get mine from Walmart. 91%. And the reason I go with 91 versus like 50 or 70% is how fast it evaporates. I want it to, for a couple things. One, if by some chance you get any alcohol down into the board or on any of the electronics, you want it to evaporate really, really fast. Second, when I'm cleaning the lens, I don't want the chance of any moisture left on the lens. So Q-tip, clean the lens, and take the clean end of the Q-tip, dry the lens, and then by the time I have the whole thing assembled again, any residual alcohol has evaporated. It's all gone. So I don't run the risk of having any liquid or any moisture on the lens. So hopefully that helps. But again, I've tried it both ways. Certain materials I will most definitely run the air. Leatherette, which is basically a vegan leather, not PU leather. We're going to kind of touch on that today too. Things that you should and should not cut with your laser. Hey, Melvin. All right. Melvin's here. And I'm gonna pitch Melvin here for just a second. Listen, if you are here from the group and you have not yet bookmarked Melvin's wiki page, go do it. While you're at it, buy him a cup of coffee. There's a link in there to help support his page. He has put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours into the documentation that he has made for our lasers. Throw him a cup of coffee, give him a couple bucks, help support him. That way he keeps updating his documentation and he can afford to keep that page up, because I will tell you, when I was a new user, in the group, this tool was invaluable. There is no price you could put on how valuable this was. So if you guys don't have it linked, don't have it bookmarked and saved, bookmark it, save it. If you need to know how to do something on your machine, this is it. Mechanical adjustments, cleaning, software, help with software. If you're setting up limit switches, firmware updates, everything, it's here. Bookmark it, link it, buy him a cup of coffee so he can afford to keep this page up and running. It is, and even today, I'm a year into running these machines, and I still refer back to it every now and then. Super helpful. So, okay, so this is the gist here. We've now made a test grid. I can now take this test grid, because I've saved it in my art library. I have it. I can now take this, and let's say I know for a fact I only need, let's say I know I'm going to only be working in the 75 and 85 millimeters per second. I can literally just lop off everything I don't need, and now I have another test grid. Too much of it. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for supporting. So I can now take that same test grid and I can tweak it, modify it, make it 2 rows. I can add more rows, add more columns. I can go add more incremental speeds. Once you know the basis of how to create a test grid, it's super, super simple. And you have it because you've saved it. Just like that, I've got it again, and I'm back to where I was. It takes, we've been talking about it, and I've made 2 test grids in 25 minutes. It only takes a couple of moments, and next thing you know, you have your test grids for your materials. Yes, does it absolutely suck having to sacrifice materials? Yes, it absolutely sucks, because this is money that I spent to literally burn a throwaway, but you have to. You have to. I was working on a project it was working on it in September for the Christmas season for our Etsy shop. And I literally spent a day screwing up cuts and engravings because I thought I could pull the settings off of other people's settings in the group. And it absolutely did not work. Every setting I tried from people's other settings in the group did not work. And I finally, after, I was chatting with Melvin, and I think after like 6 hours of frustration, I just sat down, pulled my test grid out of my files, ran a small test grid, literally about the size of a business card. And all of a sudden, I had exactly the settings that I needed. So what took 15 minutes of cutting and engraving on a test grid, I wasted, I can't even tell you how much material, frustration, and time, because I didn't do what I tell everybody else to do, which is run a test grid. Just run a test grid. So learning how to do a test grid is literally worth the 15 minutes it takes to make one. So that's my rant on test grids. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. What other things do you guys want to talk about? What do you want to know about? It is meant to be a Q&A. So if you have a question, you want me to show you something in Lightburn, like I said, I don't do GRBL. I don't play in that software at all. I like Lightburn. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what I run. So that's where we're going to be in. A couple of things I'll show you. If you don't own one of these yet, make sure you get yourself a set of calipers. These are literally just like little cheap $19 calipers off of Amazon. Lifesaver, especially when I'm trying to set up templates for like keychains, coasters, things like that. When I'm trying to cut fairly specific parts, priceless. Make sure you grab yourself a pair on Amazon. Mine are digital. They do millimeters, inches. They have inside, outside. So you can get your inside measurements, outside measurements, and then depth. They have a depth gauge. So worth every penny. Make sure you grab yourself a set. So what? Let's see. Let's what do we got? We have Valentine's coming up. So let's do something. I see a lot of people working in, by the way, we are going to touch on this today. This is Inkscape. I use Inkscape a lot when it comes to editing. And please don't hate me for my desktop. I just picked up an just a butt ton of SVG files the other day, so yeah. So let's do a heart clip art PNG. We're going to specifically take a PNG, and I want a PNG because when you're cutting and engraving, yeah, vernier calipers, priceless. So we're going to just take a heart. Let's just take any. I'm just going to take a heart. We'll take this one because it's kind of crappy too. So we're going to copy image. So we're going to talk a little bit real quick about like the trace function. Yeah, well, okay, so yeah, it drives me nuts too. Usually I take like 1 day a week and I clean up my desktop. But the problem is I get a lot of files from a website called Design Bundles. And on Friday, they have what's called Freebie Friday. So they literally throw hundreds of SVG files up for free. And I just went in on Friday and went absolutely ham and picked up a ton of stuff. So now I have an ungodly amount of zip files that I have to unzip, sort. People ask for how to connect text to a surrounding shape. Can do that. Definitely can do that. So I just grabbed this PNG off the internet. We're going to trace it. So to trace, literally select the item, right click, trace image. Okay. Now we have that image from a PNG file to an SVG. Much happier. So what we're going to do, let's say we're going to take this image because it's a fairly complex shape. We'll select it. We're going to zoom it out. Change it to a line just so I know where I'm working. And let's say I want to put the word love around the outside of this heart. So we're going to grab text, type the word love. Let's capitalize it. Blech. And we'll blow it up a little bit. And let's grab Well, let's just grab that. Grab that font. So now we have Word, and we want to curve it around this heart. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take and ungroup these. So now we have two separate images. And we're going to take this one. I think I moved it. We're going to take this one, right click, make sure it's a path. It has to be a path. It cannot be a bitmap or anything else. It has to be converted to path. So like if I wanted to make that love go around a circle, when I make that circle, it's not a path yet, so I'd have to convert it to a path. But make sure the shape that you want to attach the word to is a path. And then we're going to take here, then we're going to take love, and we're going to select the shape. And then up here under Tools, apply path to text. And now we have here. Now, not really digging where it is. And I don't like the direction it's going. So let's... Oh, that was a horrible option. Flip. Don't like that. Undo. Undo. All right. Bad shape. Didn't like that. So let's see. Let's break this up. I'm going to try to get it. I want to try to get it here. Let's go to nodes. Node edit. Let's see. We're going to break it here. And we're going to break it there. So now this should be a separate, yep. All right, so now we have that as a separate area. We're going to take this, shrink it down. And we're going to do the same thing, tools. You're going to be a pain in the butt, aren't you? All right. We're going to invert this first. We're going to flip it. Tools. Apply. So now we have it on that path. Okay. I don't really like the fact that it's flipped inside out. So we're going to take and we're going to invert it, and now we're going to try it. Let's see if it does what I want it to do. Nope. Close enough though. So now we have it on the path. So now, let's say this is exactly what we're looking for. Just for the sake of argument, let's say that's where I want it. It's not really where I want it, but we'll call it that. We're going to take the wording. We're going to convert that to a path. And now group that all together. Forgot the middle of my O group. Now I have it basically along that shape. And I can shrink it down. I could bring it inside, tweak it all, whatever the case may be. Now we need to get this all reattached. Select everything. Go here. Alt J. And that should have connected everything again, which it did. That is a good tool. If you guys don't know about this yet, if you're having issues with nodes not being connected, Alt B and Alt J. Alt B will break every node apart. Alt J will rejoin all of the selected nodes. So Alt B, Alt J will break nodes. So this is a harder shape to attach to. Your most common shapes are going to be circles or arches. So let's do a circle. 6 by, just make it 6 by 6 to start. And I'll show you where this comes in handy. So one of the things I'm working on is a badge for the local sheriff's department. Yeah, I know, work gets in the way. So, all right, if you're here and you have more questions, drop them in the comments after the video, Ryan, and I'm going to start making a list of all the questions, and we're going to start doing videos. We're going to try to do a live once a week, and I'll probably bounce the times around. That way, sometimes it'll be morning, sometimes it'll be evening. That way more people can jump in and grab it, at least live. So where this comes in handy is this. So this is a sheriff's department badge that I was working on yesterday. And one of the things that happened when I was converting the file is inside the seal. So where it says State of Florida, In God We Trust, during the conversion process from a PNG to an SVG, these got really crappy. The wording and the lettering got rounded over. So what I did is I took and made a circle the same size as this circle right here, this one right here. And you can see, like, my stars, I still have to fix my stars. They are not perfect. So I made a circle. So that circle is 3.982. So we'll make this one the same size, 3.982 by 3.982. So now I have a circle that's perfectly the same size as that one. So exact match. Move this out of the way. So what we're going to do is we are going to make a curve of where it says the state of Florida. So we'll start with the state of Florida. Let's change that font. Monasterit. I'm going to shrink it down just a little bit. So this is the most common way it's used. So now we're going to convert that circle to a path. Has to be a path. If it's not a path, it won't work. Got to be a path. Shrink that down just a little bit more. So now we're going to select that. We're going to select the circle. Go to Tools. Apply Text to Path. Boom. Now we have an arched state of Florida. We can take this and rotate it. And now we're just about where we would want to be if I was replacing that text right there. But what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to replace this one where it says St. Lucie and then county. So let's back up. And we're going to grab my text again and St. Lucie and county. And I know those are bold, so we're going to make them bold. So now we're going to take St. Lucie, make sure this is a path, St. Lucie, path, and then we're going to go Tools, Apply to Path, rotate it around, nice. And we're going to duplicate that circle. And we're going to county, and we're going to apply. Flip that to the bottom. So now I have county and St. Lucie. Now I just got to resize them. And I work a lot outside of the grid space. Bring that back in. Zoom in again. So zooming in, if you're new to this and haven't or don't do it, Control and your scroll wheel, zoom in, zoom out. All right, so definitely need to bring that up a little in size and space that just a shade. Ooh, I don't like that. It's definitely not Arial. Is it not bold? Let's undo the bold. See, it's too... That almost looks like a Tahoma. That's pretty close. So now we have that. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the wording. We're going to just double check the sizing on it. See, I don't like that font. That's all right. It's pretty close, but not quite. But we're going to run it. So now I've got that. And let's take... So we're going to take the county now, and we're going to convert to a path. And we're going to get rid of the circle. Group that together. Group. But now I can take and kind of stretch and modify it. Shrink it. Not quite the way I want it, but you kind of get the idea. You got to select an object, make sure it's a path, put your text on it. Once you're happy with the shape, the placement, convert your text to a path, and then delete the shape that you had it attached to. So we're going to get rid of that. And I'll play with those some later when I'm not live. Because this is going to take me a while, because this is a lot of detail, a ton of detail on this badge, and I'm still trying to decide whether I want the middle engraved or I want to put a second. I'll show you line. Let's do an inset. And then we'll change to fill. See, I'm trying to decide if I want to go something like that, but I don't quite like it. Whereas if I go this way, no, too small, just like that. See, I don't like that either. So I got to play with it. Try to figure out how I want that, because I don't necessarily like... Because when this is the size it's going to be, it's only going to be about 3.5 inches. So it's going to be something like that. So I want the In God We Trust and the state of Florida. I want that to pop a little bit. So, yeah. Got to play with that. So that's connected to. Now the other, so Melvin, the other thing too is welding. Are you more referring to like welding? Because that's an entirely different animal. So if, let's say I want to attach. So one of the things that's been really popular this week in the group are, especially with Valentine's coming up, are these roses with the with Valentine's. It's been roses and people's names and all of that fun stuff. Let me see if I still have mine. Let me grab a rose. Let me grab a rose off of the interweb. Black and white. Oh, let's see. No, because that's something that's paid. Don't steal shit from Etsy. Don't steal designs from Etsy. Don't be that person. Oh, that one's not bad. It's not quite right. Oh, that might work. Well, let's Shutterstock. Actually, you know what? I know where there is one that we've got shared. Files. Let's see. Is that the rose? I know it was Alan. So that was Alan. Let's see. Trying to find Alan's rose heart that he put up. Oh, there it is. Perfect. All right, where's your file? Laser cut, wooden. Is that two? Trying to find his rose. He had a great picture of a rose. Well, this one right here was 2 layers. Is it this one? Nope. That's not the one. All right, Alan, where did you put your rose? Is it that one? Shoot. Trying to find, you have to pardon me, I'm trying to find a very specific file that Alan created. I thought it was Alan. So for those of you who don't know in the group, this is the file section. This is where everything people upload. This is where it goes to live. Let's just try rows. Maybe that's it. Well, that's the stand. Yeah, I don't remember. Let me search for her. I don't know if she posted it. I'm pretty sure. Well, that's the thing. I'm looking for flower with, let's try that one. There it is. There's hers. Oof. I'm going to change that all to black so I can see it. Okay. So we have the flower. I'm going to set these off to the side. And we're going to rotate this. Rotation, select the item, click the period on your keyboard, rotates at 90 degrees. But I want, how big is this? What's the size of that? That is 10.69 inches. Let's shrink it down just a little bit. And we're going to take and combine these. Let me make this just a little longer. See if I can just weld these together. Control function. All right, let's try to just weld. There, now we have one. Okay. And I want to break this off. So we're going to ungroup all of this. I want to get rid of this second rows. And put another, so break, select all of that, get rid of that, and I want another leaf, bring in the leaf, shrink it down just a wee bit. Why is that out of whack? Ungroup. Put that there. Really? You're going to be this way? Group. There we go. Bring that down here. Yeah, that's better. We're going to bring this a little more over there. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to break it right there. And we'll break it right there. Get rid of that. And then go back to the node editor. Combine that. Bring that down. All right, so we got that all combined. All right, so now we have just a rows. So let's alt break. Alt J. All right, so now we should have one unified shape again. All right, so now we got that. So let's say we want to put somebody's name on this. Let's put I don't know. Let's put Mike. We all love Mike. We miss Mike. We're going to put Mike. Except I want it all capitalized. Mike. And let's give it a nice font. Where is my... I have a specific script for let's go with that one. It's not going to work exactly the way I want it, but it'll work for the time being. All right, let's squish these up. Let's make these a little bigger. So there's two ways to do this. You can leave this so it engraves and then put an outer on it. We'll do it this way first. So now we take the outer rim of Mike and that. Let's weld it together. And now we have this. We can take that, turn that into an engraving. So now you have something like that, where it would cut the rows. You could then paint the rows, paint the leaves, and then you would have the name engraved. Or you can cut it out. So we'll change that back to a cut. And then you have this as a relief, which I'm not a huge fan of, but hey, to each their own. You just kind of have to figure out what style works better for what you're looking for. So this would kind of be a negative. Just keep in mind, the hard part's going to be with things like this. When you get to like the K and the I and the M, excuse me, this is not going to stay. So you're going to have this big swoop on the K, the big swoop on the I. Those aren't going to stay. I do have a font, and I don't remember the name. I don't remember the name of the font, but it was a specific script meant to be, it was like a stencil script. So let me back out. I know I used it on a project. Let me just pull that aside. Christmas. I know I did it on a Christmas ornament. Let me go to my customs. Where is it? Yeah, it's actually a script. It's actually a stencil script font. I just don't remember where I put it. I don't remember the name of it. And I actually had a customer that I used it for a Christmas ornament run. There it is. What's the name of the font? Direct Stencil. Okay. So this is the one. So this, I'm going to change this to this particular font. So this font is super delicate, but it will cut out. There we go. So let's make it bold. So this is a stencil font. So you can see everything is like interconnected. So you won't lose connections. And you won't lose like centerpieces. So like on an O, it's kind of that swirly. So this is why I said it's kind of delicate. It's a very delicate font. Even in bold, it's very delicate. So, you know, like that. So it's just, it does work. It does give you a script style font, but it is super, super, super fragile. So it's really tough to find a script stencil font. And this is one of the only ones that I've found. It's yeah, not a huge fan. But it's the only one that I found so far. Let's convert this to a path. That way I can move that E over. And we can actually weld all that together. So like that would be my name. And then I could take that. Again, not that I would do this in this. I wouldn't do this particular thing without a backer behind it. But I could then take this, take it to the rose stem, select the rose stem, the name. I don't like that. But I don't really like how that comes out. But technically it would be my name. I don't like the way that looks. I would do it differently, but it gives you the idea. Gives you a general idea. So, and then to make a backer for this, all you're going to do is select your outer, duplicate it, and then now you have a backer plate, so you could actually have painted back, natural wood front, blah blah blah. So that's kind of the gist of that. Okay, what else we got? Oh. And thank you all for bearing with me, because I'm like not awake. I've been up for hours, but I'm not awake. I have not finished my coffee yet. But yeah, stencil fonts are a challenge, because there's really not a lot of good ones, you know, without looking very military. So while we're at it, let me show you guys. I'll show you the So this is Design Bundles. This is where I get a ton of my stuff from. I have an account with them. They have what are called Freebie Fridays. And then they have Wednesdays. On Wednesdays, they do what's called a dollar deal. And they're unbelievably huge selections of SVG files. If you do sublimation, if you do paper cutting, any of that kind of stuff, it's there. So when I put up a picture of something I make, odds are it's one of a couple things. Either it's my own design, or I may have gotten it from here. Like, I believe that font, and they have fonts too. Now there is paid stuff here. So just be aware, if you're going to come here, it is paid. This is not a free site. And files that I get here, you cannot share them. So that's why a lot of times people can't share the files. Ethically, you can't share the files. I mean, realistically, you can do whatever you want. But the files can't be shared. They can't be shared. They can't be resold. It's part of the commercial license agreement when you get the file. But they have tons of fonts. Like, if you name an item, you can probably find it here. If you do sublimation, because I know some people do the laser engraving, they do sublimation and all that. You've got literally tons of stuff for sublimation, which I don't do sublimation, although it's cool. I think it's a really cool thing, but I don't know. I don't do sublimation. So, but that's where I got that particular font. So you can come in here and find fonts. Literally, they have presets. You can buy people's presets for Lightroom, Photoshop. People create plugins. It's all design stuff. So this is where I get a ton of my stuff. When I feel like I'm lacking inspiration, sometimes I'll come here and I will look around, come up with design ideas. But that's that. See, I like that font. That's a nice font. But all welded together. Looks good. That is a pretty decent design. I will definitely give that. That is a pretty decent design. Okay, what else do we want to go over? What do we want to talk about? What do we want to look at? If not, we can call it good and people can think and decide what you want me to look at. Oh my god, I gotta clean my desktop. I gotta clean my desktop today. But you guys tell me, what do you want me to go over? I got a little bit of time. Probably got about another half hour. About another half hour that I can be on and live. And then I got to get back to work. I got orders to pack up. Damn it. Guess we got to go to the big boy. And if there's no ideas, then we can just call it a day and wrap it up, and y'all can think about what you want me to do on the next one. I mean, there's just so much stuff to go over. The mechanical side really is a Melvin. I mean, that's Melvin, to be honest. I don't know the G code and the mechanics as well as Melvin. But I can do, on the next one, I can set up a camera and show you how I clean the lens, go over that. It's up to you guys. I'm doing this for you guys. So whatever stuff you want to see, I'm more than happy to show you. I just don't know. Understandable. I have work calling. I got literally boxes of orders sitting here, so that I got to get packed up. We're supposed to get them shipped out yesterday, but they're going to go out today. So yeah, I guess it just kind of depends on what y'all want. So text to a round circle. Let's go 7 by 7. Okay. Well, so let's do this one. This is common. I see this around Christmas time. We're going to make a real quick ornament. We're going to make a quick little Christmas ornament. Let's just go 1 by 1. Because then I can resize it. Okay, first and foremost, when you're making a Christmas ornament, yeah, I'm going to do a double. So let's pretend we're making a Christmas ornament. First off, when you're making a Christmas ornament, don't make the piece where the ribbon attaches to like that small. Give it some girth. It ain't gonna hurt you. And then we're gonna come down here. Let's just group these together. Group. All right. And then we're gonna duplicate. So now we have a double. So now essentially what we have created here is the outline of a Christmas ornament. Ungroup, and then we're gonna weld. We're going to weld this shape and this shape together. Voila. Now we have a Christmas ornament. Or at least the basic shape of a Christmas ornament. So let's say I want to put let's see, Dave. We'll pick on Dave. Dave. Now let's grab a font that doesn't. All right, we'll take that one. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to kind of get this sized up a little bit, and we're going to bring the horizontal spacing in just a shade so letters all connect. Now they are all touching, and we are going to weld them together. So now we have one word, okay? No worries. Melvin, have a good one. Have a good night, man. So now we have a name. We're going to rotate it around just a little bit. So what we have, though, as you see, we have just a little piece of the name touching just about everywhere. So we'll take the name, take the circle. Weld did not work. So what we're going to come down to, on the left side of the screen, I have my toolbar on the left. This is the Boolean subtract. We're going to try that one. That one, so it's the it's the one that looks like it's just taking the corner out of a square. That's the one for this particular action. So now what I have is when this goes to engrave, it's going to cut out all of this, and then I'm going to have Dave attached to the circle. So now I have a name. I could then take this same design. I know I have some snowflakes here. Shapes. Where's my snowflakes? Christmas? Is it under Christmas? Yeah, it must be. There we go. Snowflakes. So let's take... this one's a little less annoying. Snowflake. Dave, I'm not saying you're a snowflake. I can then take snowflake, and we'll put that there. Give it a couple points of contact. Same thing. We're going to do the Boolean subtract. Nope, that didn't work, right? The other thing, too, that matters is the order in which you select. There we go. So I wanted to subtract the pieces of the snowflake from that. So you got to make sure you select them in the right order. So now we have a snowflake. Let's do... Thought I had another one. Only got 2 snowflakes? What the heck? We'll just throw another snowflake up here. A little there, a little there. So we'll select the name, then the snowflake, then the subtract tool. So now we have another snowflake. Shrink that down just a little bit. All right, zoom in. There we go. So now we got another one. So we'll select name, object, subtract. There. So that's how you would do that. And it can be a circle. It can be any other shape. Like this. This is one of the files that I do. It's a Christmas ornament. It's a 2-layered Christmas ornament. The bottom is actually made out of black acrylic, and then everything that you see here gets engraved, but once it comes out, you don't peel the paper off. You actually paint that white and let it dry, and then you peel the backer off, and it's a black background with white snowflakes. Then this piece is the front. So I could take the same process. So let's do, let's just take Spot for a dog's name. Everyone had a dog named Spot. And we will, let's make that Christmassy. Shrink that down. Okay, now that's all connected. Weld it. Change that to red. And we just shrink it down, give it a little twist, and then adjust it. And again, the more points of contact I find, the better, because these can be very, very fragile. Okay, and then we take the shape, select the name, subtract. Now we have Spot. So it's about that simple. But keep in mind, it's very important based on the order that you select. So let's take that same example, and let's say that I selected the name first, and then the shape, and then hit subtract. It's going to get rid of the outer portion and leave just these little tabs. So we're going to select the outside shape, then what we want to attach to it, and then subtract. And then anything that breaks that plane will be subtracted, and the item will get attached to the outer shape. So there you go. Now we have a dog's paw with angel wings on a Christmas ornament. And Dave with snowflakes. So there you go. It's about that easy. These tools are your friend. You just have to get used to to what they do and the order. And it will tell you as you hover over it, subtract one shape from another, A minus B. The next one is Boolean union, the union of two shapes. So it's A plus B. Weld, which is weld all selected shapes together. And then you have the last one down here, which is the Boolean intersection. So it's the intersection of two shapes. So if I took square and let's make that, I'm trying to keep it dark so you guys can see. And I'm trying to keep it blown up as big as possible so that you guys can see. Go away. So let's rotate that. And let's duplicate it. Nope. Control. Then move. Okay. So now let's center. Duplicate. Group. All right, so now everything is centered. It's probably not the right angle, but I don't care. We're going to ungroup everything. And so let's say I wanted to do this one and this one. Now I have a center shape. So that left me just what was left in the middle. So it took this square, and it just left me that square in the center. And I could do the same thing here. Let's take these two shapes, do it again. Now I'm back down to just a square. So that's all it does. It just subtracts the outer pieces of the two that aren't overlaid each other. So, okay. Anything else? Any other questions for today? Because if not, I think we're gonna wrap it up and call it. But like I said, here's the biggest thing. Kind of this was a last minute decision to go live. So I didn't really have a ton of topics I wanted to cover. I knew I wanted to do the test grid because that is one of the most common questions. Yes, there is a test grid generator in Lightburn. Does it work? Yep. Do I like the homemade one better? Absolutely. And as you could see at the beginning of the video, it's quite literally, like if I wasn't talking and doing anything else, it probably would have taken me 5 minutes or less to put the grid together. And then I have it. I can quite literally go back where did I put it? And grab my test grid. This is my one that I have that I normally, this is my base one. This is the one that I created, I use for everything. 5% up to 85%, 400 to 1300 millimeters per minute. And I can adjust everything independently. But because it's saved, I can delete it. Bring it back. I can change it here and it won't matter as long as I don't save it and overwrite this. I'll have it for whatever. But this is the very first one I made. And it served me quite well. So a lot of times I get rid of like the Sculpt Fun because this is not necessarily applicable anymore because I have the S9 and the S30. But it's so easy to make your own grid that there's really no need. There's no need. There's no need to guess and wonder what your settings need to be. One of my favorite logos. If you don't know what that is the U.S. Navy submarine service insignia. But anyway, pretty much going to wrap it up there. Again, if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. We'll start putting together a list for the next live. I will try to get it into a different time slot so that depending on where you are in the world, you'll have the opportunity to jump on, ask questions. Hopefully I'll be able to have Melvin, maybe even some people from Sculpt Fun here. Right now they're in the middle of Chinese New Year, so they're all on vacation. But that's going to do it. Until then, have a good one. Take care. Be good. Be safe. Take care of one another. Be good to one another. Have fun with your laser. Oh, yeah. Don't cut. Listen. PVC. I don't care. Don't cut PVC. PVC. Polyvinyl chloride. Bad. Don't do it. No PVC. No PVC ever. That's all I got to say. That's it. So that's it, everybody. I'll talk to you later. Be good. Be safe. I'll see you in the group. Hit me with any questions you got, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.